Good evening and welcome to episode 200, round number. Who would have known we would have got to 200 episodes of Cantinho Benfiquista podcast. It is never easy. Just seems like it's never easy for us. As always, I am your host. I am Mike. We've got 80% of the crew here today. Oscar might sneak in at some point during the evening, but time will tell. We've got Bill, we've got Jason, we've got Kenny. Jason's been on a hiatus for a little bit, so I'm going to start with him. Welcome back. And I guess it's public already, so I guess I can also say that we've got another little Benfica fan joining the world soon. So congrats to you guys on behalf of all of us. But welcome back. How's it been?
Good, not too bad. Overall, like you said, we're welcoming a little girl in August, so we're excited for that, for the news. So yeah, and everything's been going well. You know how it is here in winter. Hibernate.
Yeah.
Can't do much.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, we got Benfica to watch, which is good. So
yeah, to stress us out. I guess is more like it. Kenny, how are you?
Good, guys. Can you hear me all right? Am I on delay?
Yeah.
I saw...
No, you're good. You're good.
All right, great. Yeah. Here we are.
Benfica was on delay yesterday for about 60 minutes.
60 minutes.
Better
late than never.
How are you?
Doing good. Stressed out, but that's what Benfica does to us.
Yeah, it's part of being a fan. Hopefully everyone's blood pressure has come back down after that 90 minutes yesterday. I know mine took a little bit to come down, but a day later, having been able to process it a little bit better, I think I'm in a better mental state and emotional state than I was yesterday. We'll talk about yesterday's draw, 3-3 against Monaco at home. Benfica sees their way through to the next round of the Champions League. On the other side of the door, we've got Barcelona or Liverpool waiting for us. And having seen that game yesterday, probably can't help themselves but to be salivating at the potential of running into us at this moment. We'll also talk about this weekend's match. Benfica plays Boavista at home in a match where we play first. So Benfica being 2 points back of Sporting with a win could go top of the table. Sporting only plays Sunday away to AVS. So an opportunity for Benfica to jump back in the first place and put some pressure on our rivals to see what they can get away to AVS. And, of course, we'll look ahead to the Braga Taça match midweek. One match, win or go home. And, we'll kind of look ahead to that one with the expectation that there's potentially going to be some resting being done at the weekend against Boavista. But let's start with the match from yesterday, of course. And quickly, just for those of you that are tuning in on whatever platform you're watching on, please do join the conversation. Leave us your comments, your feedback, your opinions. If you agree, disagree. I'm sure there's a lot that we'll talk about that people may have different opinions on, which is completely fine. But don't hesitate to, again, join the conversation with us and make this interactive. Malta que esteja a ver em português, igualmente, esteja à vontade de participar aqui nesta nossa conversa. Todos falamos português, todos percebemos, por isso podem estar à vontade e falar connosco. Nós iremos abordar as vossas perguntas, opiniões, sugestões, o que quiserem. Estão à vontade de participar aqui connosco. Por isso, Benfica 3, Monaco 3, starting 11. Trubin, Carreras, Otamendi, Antonio Silva, Tomás Araújo comes back into the 11 after missing this weekend's match against Santa Clara. Kokshu, Barreiro, Auschness in the midfield. Barreiro comes in for Tinu, who was suspended. On the wings, we had Sheldrup, Aktürkoğlu, and up top, we had Pavlidis to complete the 11. Jay, I know that you're running into some connectivity issues, so I'll start with Bill first. One, on the 11, surprised to see Auschness in there, given there was, an injury, despite the fact that, I don't know if I had shared it with you guys, but I had talked to some people about the injury that he has, and from what they've told me, it's not one of those injuries that it gets worse. It's one of those injuries that it's basically a niggling pain, that it's just a matter of what's your tolerance for pain, right, in that discomfort. So it's not one of those that if you play on it, it's going to make it worse, which is, I guess, the positive thing. So that may have in part been why he was able to play. So surprised by the Auschwitz return, and then any other pieces that surprised you in that 11, and then give me kind of a high level overview of what you thought of the game, and then we'll kind of dissect different portions of it as we go through.
Yes, as far as the 11, I think the only surprise was Freddie, right? Given that he was out the previous game with the injury, and from the reports, it initially sounded like he was going to be out for a bit, right? It didn't sound like he was going to be out for one game, or it sounded like he was going to miss multiple games. So that was the surprise. But I mean, if he's cleared and he's willing to, I mean, I didn't notice it yesterday, but I saw that there were some pictures floating around of his leg was wrapped up during the game, which I didn't notice during the game.
I didn't either.
So I mean, if it's one of those things where you can't do further damage and you can play through it, I mean, from what we've seen of Freddie, he's one of those players that seems to play for the name on the front of the shirt more than the name on the back, right? Like he's willing to not do more harm, but he's willing to fight through the pain and do whatever he can to be on the field. And it definitely helps to have him on the field, even if he's not at 100%, given
which I think was clear he wasn't at 100%.
Yeah. I mean, and given our circumstances are like with our midfield, we're thin right now. And the only other option there was playing one of the kids from the B team that got called up. And that is very risky. You're going to have to at some point, right? Like we're getting right. Like you touched on, like we have a game this weekend, game midweek, Champions League, like there's no break coming up. So like we're getting to the point where he's going to have to manage minutes and play these young kids, right? But Champions League game with what was at stake, I think it was smart for me. Like I would take Freddie at say 60-70% rather than especially at the start, rather than one of the kids. I think given his experience and everything, to start that game was a smart move. And then if you needed to, you could bring in one of the kids later on, which he ended up doing. But I think it was the right move to do. And hats off to Freddie for being willing to play through the injury, because unfortunately nowadays a lot of players wouldn't, right? They would most likely and not risk it. But Freddie's not one of those players. And then for the game, I mean, it was very frustrating.
Another emotional roller coaster,
to say the least. Yeah, it was, and we touched on it in our group chat. Like it was, you could see that Tino was missed, right? Like that's where like their threat was down the middle. They were not
that area in the field. Yes.
Right. They were not getting their wide. Their wingers, quote unquote wingers, were coming central and staying central. And that's where they were building up, and that's where they were creating all their chances. And that was at number 11. That kid
Ben Seguir and Akliush.
Yeah, whichever one, I don't remember which one it was, but I think he was typically plays on the right, was playing more down the middle. Caused so much problems for us. And I think like a game like this, Tino definitely would have added a huge piece to it. And what was frustrating was seeing how they were playing that first half, that we didn't adjust during the half and didn't make adjustments at halftime, right? Like we were essentially, and I think you pointed it out and you had a screenshot in our group text. It was like a 4-1-4-1, right? It was Barreiros was solo in the midfield by himself, and then the second they break that block of 4 where everyone's chasing, Barreiros the only one back. I would have liked to see some adjustments made in that first half, and definitely at halftime, right? You drop Freddie back and you essentially play with the double pivot of Freddie and Barreiro, and you let Coxu be more forward and roam a little bit more. But adjustments going to come at half or in the first half. I think the subs he made he made them early in that second half, and they came in, and that's what I think changed the game. I think Dooney coming
100%.
in and Dahl and came in, changed the game. It settled things down a little bit. I mean, it was one of those games where it never seemed like anyone ever had control of it, but we were definitely, after those subs, we looked better, a lot better, completely different team, threatening going forward. We could keep it a little bit, but it was definitely a stressful game. But, Champions League, you do what you need to get through, and I think at the end, can say a little lucky to get through, but I think overall between the first leg and this leg, I think Benfica deserved to go through, because we could have come into this second leg with the tie done and dusted, but
Correct.
we blew a lot of chances in Monaco, which then again left us to what we had to deal with yesterday.
Last week, right? We left the door open, and Monaco they had a chance. Kenny, before I pass it to you, we have 16_Jota16 on Instagram says Benfica tactical system is 4-3-2-1. But Tino is a crucial player for the system, and Benfica needs a player similar to Enzo Fernandez, which is, again, ties into what I've been saying, and many people have been saying for the past year, which is Tino gives us a significant amount without the ball. Like, there's no arguing that, right? And we talked about it in the last podcast, right? He's evolved. He's become much better. He's taking more risks with passes. But there's no one on the team that we have, even with the squad fully fit, that gives us what he gives us in terms of destruction of play, right? Like there's no debating that, I don't think. The piece is right in what I'm assuming Jota 16 here is saying is a player like Enzo, which is a guy that can spread the ball around, right? That was the differentiator for a guy like Enzo, right? Which goes into, again, what we've talked about a lot, is having that guy in the midfield that can play those passes. So, and we'll get into that with some of the comments. But Kenny, I know that you were on and off in terms of seeing the game, and I believe you caught the highlights. But again, any questions or surprises in the starting 11? And then, as Bill said, and I have some screenshots here, and I guess my question for you is going to be more in terms of the adjustments. Is I felt that Monaco in the first game played with a 4-back, right? They've played with a 3-back throughout the season. They played with a 4-back with Benfica in the first game. They went back to a 3-back in this system, and they had basically Diatta, I believe was his name, and I can't remember the other guy's name on the other side, but the Caillou. So they basically had two outside backs that were playing the whole line. And what that did was that then allowed, it then allowed Ben Seguir and Akliouche to come inside, right? And by them coming inside, they're then creating an overload in our midfield, right? Which now you have by himself trying to chase 3-4 guys. And I was looking at the stats. In the first half, Akliouche had 16 progressive runs with the ball by himself, right? So 16 times their midfield progressed into our midfield with the ball at their feet, running through our midfield, right? Like that's an alarming number for me. On top of that, around the 40-minute mark, Benfica had completed 172 passes versus Monaco's 353 passes. So we had completed half the passes in the first half, and we had run 81 kilometers versus Monaco's 77 kilometers. So not only had we only passed the ball half the amount of time, we ran more than they ran, right? So I think those numbers, when I looked at, I didn't even realize that, but when I saw those numbers, I was like, damn, I didn't realize, like, we ran more and we touched the ball less. But for you, based on what you saw,
chasing,
and in terms of, I mean, I'm sure we've all read a variety of different things, which I'll get into on social media and whatnot. But based on what you saw and based on kind of what you've read, are you surprised that the change, whether it was tactical or personnel wise, took so long?
Yeah. So just to start with the starting 11, I to me I don't think there was much of a surprise. I mean, if Auschwitz was available, I think he had to start considering how thin the rest of the squad is. So those really were your starting options. You didn't really have much else to play with on the bench. So no surprises for me on that front. Like you said, I didn't catch the whole game. I did catch a little bit more of the second half. From what I saw, there was an immediate change when Laj made the substitutions, and I think that was the key to the game for us, because up to that point, we were on our heels. And like you guys had mentioned, the first 60 minutes of the game was like that. So, you got to give it to Laj for making that adjustment.
Correct.
Take whether you want to, did it take that long? Why did it take that long? That's a different conversation. But he did make the adjustments, and the team completely changed. Now, the game itself seems like it was a lot closer than it should have been. Trubin had a couple of gifts that he gave away that probably, wouldn't have affected the scoreline as much had he been at the top of his game. The game probably we kind of run away with it, but overall, I thought it was obviously a great result for Benfica to move on to the next phase, and yeah, you can't really not a lot to complain about. Now, to your question around, again, so you were asking about the space between the defenders and the midfield.
Correct. So that's what my comment was, right? And I had sent the note I had sent that screenshot, right? And I have it here, right? So here's first half, 40-minute mark, right? And I can't, unfortunately, I can't show videos because UEFA will take our stream down. But 40 minutes into the game, right? We've got Auschwitz, our furthest guy forward. Probably this is out of the image, right? But Auschwitz is our furthest guy forward, right? And then we've got a line of 4. Barreiro's got basically this whole space to himself, right? And then we've got a line of 4, right? My gripe here is this is already in the 40th minute where we had been drinking from a fire hose, basically, right? And it's my concern, and a lot of people shared the same concern on social media and on TV, is if the team is struggling so much, right? First of all, we know Barreiro's not a 6, right? He's not the same type of player Tino is. He's a 8. He's a guy that can go box to box. He's going to give you lots of energy, but he's not a guy that's going to destroy play. Like, that's just not who he is. With the understanding that we were struggling, why is Auschwitz pressing so high? Why not have him sit beside Barreiro, compact the lines, eliminate that much space between your lines, and now let the team breathe a little bit, right? We were literally constantly drinking from a fire hose. Here's another image, 30 minutes. Right. Again, the space in this play, 5 seconds from this play, this ball goes down the line, and the 2 guys that are behind Barreiro in this open space, right? Look at our 3 midfielders. You got Auschwitz, you've got Kerem, and you've got Kokshu, and Barreiro by himself. All those 3 guys get into the box. This is when they head the ball off the post, right? And it doesn't go in, right? So again, we've got incredible amounts of space that was there for 57 minutes until the changes were made. And then, like you said, while I can criticize Laj for, in my opinion, not making this adjustment in the first 57 minutes, even more so at halftime, on the other side of it, I can also applaud him for, in the 57th minute, he makes 2 changes, which, like you said, and I think we all agree, changes the game. Not just Amdouni and Dal coming in, the personnel change in itself. What did that do for us? In my opinion, I think it gave us more capability to play the ball, keep the ball, right? Dal and Amdouni were able to keep the ball better. They were able to help us defend more. But then on top of that, if you go back and watch, our defensive line stepped up about 10 yards, right? So now you shrink that space between Barreiro and the guys in front of him, right? So now everyone's a lot more compact, even though we're further up the field. And if you go back and look, it was a completely different show from the 57th minute on, because the personnel helped us keep the ball, helped us defend more, but then the lines started to get more compact, right? So there's not that much space. And that's the thing that was frustrating for me, is the delay. And I feel like everyone that was watching, it was so obvious what the issue was. And again, even if he didn't make the tactical change at halftime or in the first half, but like at halftime, I would have expected something. And here's a screenshot of kickoff in the second half. And look at us again. We've got 3 guys up top, basically taken out of the play. And again, we've got Kerem chasing back. This is 10 seconds into the second half.
Yeah. So I'll say this. In the first leg, I noticed it was the same thing. And I noticed that there was a time in that game that I realized the space in front of our defenders was wide open, and they kept threading that ball and getting in behind us. So I noticed that in the first leg. Again, I didn't see much of the second game, but it seems like they were doing the same thing. Now, a lot of that I think has to do, and I'm not a tactician or whatever, right? But a lot of that, I think we were pressing high. And again, that goes to your point, how we weren't as condensed, right? We were spread out top, pressing high, leaving the gap in the middle, and our defenders are just holding the line. Why the personnel changes, made a difference in that midfield, that's, I don't know. Again, I didn't see the entire match, but I did notice that in the first leg as well. But it needs to be something that's taken care of from the start. I mean, that some of us, you can look at it as coaching or whatever, but it should be, if you're able to make the adjustment mid-game, then you should be able to also make that adjustment to start off the game, right? You shouldn't have to give up, 45, 60 minutes of the game to make that adjustment. But again, Benfica was also, from what I understand, chasing the game, pressing high, which we all like to see, right? We don't like to sit back, especially at home, and wait for the result, right? We want to go out and get after it. So, that's going to also open up the spaces in the midfield. So it's a give and take in some instances. So yeah, I don't know.
I guess before I go into it, Oscar joined. Jay's having issues. Oscar, what's your thoughts on this?
You got here, huh? You made
I don't know. Tell me the question.
I mean, let's be serious. Like, you weren't listening.
You had like 4 comments already on the chat.
No, for real. I didn't see the question.
So are you gonna be rational, or are you gonna be a troll?
Is this becoming the Lodge podcast or the Benfica podcast?
What's trolling about what I have to say? My opinion.
You literally were listening to the podcast. So are you gonna give us your thoughts on the game, or?
I came in and I saw that you guys were live, and I came in and I logged in. I really didn't know the question.
So what's your thought on the game?
On the game?
Yeah.
I thought, all right, we struggled the first half, as you guys saw, but I think we in Lodge had a post-match conference where he said, they kind of went with that system there at some point of the game, and we played well against it. In this game, they came out and they were really good, and kind of shows that in the midfield without Tino, we are not the same team, especially on when we need to defend a result or defend a little bit more. And obviously we kind of all know this. So Tino is a crucial part to that midfield.
And we said that last week. Then, is in a game where we're in our half, Tino is ideal, correct, right? Because everything's in front of him.
We knew with all the injuries that we had, and being up 1-0 on basically it was a half, all right. Being up 1-0, we knew they're going to come out guns blazing and take us and basically make us kind of have to settle into the game. We took it a little longer than I expected. I thought at halftime, Lodge even said it. He goes, at halftime, I tried to adjust the midfield, trying to have a Tukoglu and Charles Duke come more in there so it can help with the midfield. That didn't work out. They scored a goal, and right away I had to make changes because the guys we had playing did not basically respond to what I asked them to do. So he did the changes, and I think the changes were perfect because it basically changed the whole game for us, right? I don't know if you guys agree or not, but so it could have been a little earlier, but I thought with a halftime being 1-1, we're still up in the thing. You could talk to those guys at halftime to adjust a few guys in the field, and kind of settle in, right? But they came in, scored, and then we had to adjust by changing players, and we won. We won the eliminatoria. That's all we needed.
No, and I get that, and I think for me I think the bigger issue was that our wingers didn't help, right? Like, I don't know about you guys, but the fact that Sheldrup didn't play, and I talked to Kenny about it this weekend, the fact that Sheldrup didn't play in the Azores, right? You would assume he's fresh, and he came into this game and he was basically a dud. Like, he didn't do anything offensively. He didn't help us defensively. He couldn't keep the ball. At least Kerem was hustling at some points defensively, but he too couldn't keep the ball, which kept putting the team under shit tons of pressure because we're defending for our lives. We can't get up the field. We can't keep the ball, right? And like you said, he tried to bring them both inside to start the second half, but again, they weren't doing anything. If you watch the second goal, look at this screenshot I have here, right? This is their second goal. You've got first Otamendi's this circle in the top right. He got sucked out. I don't know what the hell he was thinking. Then you've got Carreras marking the guy with the ball. You've got Barreiro marking the guy that's coming in. Our two center backs are occupying the two guys at the edge of the box. And Kerem literally looks at this guy in front of him, Ben Seguir, who scores about 3 times and literally jogs back. The guy with the dotted circle is the one that scores. That's Kerem's guy, right? He just lazily jogs back, right? So again, it was the effort of these, not just the space between the lines, but the effort of the outside backs, the wingers didn't help us. And that's why, like I said before you just joined, I thought the personnel change helped us because we kept the ball. We were able to keep the ball. We were able to defend better with Dahl and with Amdouni. But then again, if you go back and look, the pressure that Kenny was talking about, right? We want the team to press. The difference was in the first half, when we pressed with 3 guys, right? We didn't press as a team, right? It was 3 guys went, they broke that line of pressure, and then it was basically 4 or 5 of them running at our defenders, right? And it's basically and Barreiro, in my opinion, I was watching the news, I've read online, people were like, Barreiro, I thought played a really good game. In my opinion, and I've been a defender of him, I didn't think he played a good game. I felt like, yes, he was in a difficult spot where he was completely lost. But every time that he went and committed, I feel like he lost every battle.
He got yeah.
Like I felt like he lost every duel. And then when the team finally adjusted, he looked a little bit better. But it was just the fact that we constantly, for even the first 45 minutes, it was just they were constantly down our throat. And I know Kenny and Bill saw the game. Oscar and Bill saw the game. Kenny saw the highlights. But Bill and Oscar, can we agree that Benfica going in a halftime tied 1-1 is an absolute miracle?
It was a miracle.
Lucky. we were lucky to get the goal because of like the center back like sleeping. Yeah. They hit the post.
They missed the breakaway.
That post was crazy. That was probably one of that reminded me of the France against Portugal final of the Euro when the guy hit the inside of the post and it went across.
Oh yeah, and it went across. Sure.
Yeah. It's just like it was like to me it was like holy shit, how does that not go in? But
and then in the breakaway at the end, right before the half,
right before the half,
Mbolo,
45th minute, and Mbolo puts it.
I don't know what he was trying to do, but he puts it
yeah. No, we scored probably in our only chance that I can remember. I think we might have had a half chance at some point, but that was
Freddie had. I know Freddie had like a shot,
had a left-footed shot, but it was right at the goalie.
Yeah. So probably the only chance we had, we scored, or we went up. And
correct.
And then let's be honest. I know they missed a few, but we also gave a few sitters away.
We did
goals away.
A ton of mistakes
that we shouldn't be allowing goals like that, right?
Correct. And
so yeah, if they scored those chances in the first half and we didn't give those easy chances, it could have been around the same game that that ended up 3-3. So but I agree. The first half 1-1, I was signed underneath like 100 billion times because we were so lucky.
100%. Yeah, we could have been down if we were down 3-1 at halftime. It wouldn't have been a surprise. Right? Or wouldn't have been out of merit, because of Monaco didn't deserve. Like they 100% deserve to go into the half smashing us. Now, a couple of other topics is Kenny, I'm going to toss this one to you, and everyone can jump in. Is Sheldrup missed most of the first half of the season. He played and didn't play, played and didn't play. Finally comes into the team, Taça da Liga, starts to show some things, scores in the Taça Portugal against Ferenc. And I feel like he's kind of plateaued or almost kind of come down back to earth again. Again, we had a tough game away against Santa Clara, against a against a good team, right? They're fifth, I believe, in the Campeonato. They've had some good results. They've had some good performances. But we played in a field that is just super heavy. Rain, it's wet, it's muddy. And he didn't play, right? He traveled with the team, but he didn't play. And then he comes into this game and he just has, a very poor performance. Are you surprised by this? One, given his age. Two, it's, the Friday night lights, right, of football, right? Champions League match, qualification match. Are you surprised by this? And do you get any sense of concern of like what we saw with Kerem, right? Where he comes in guns blazing, fucking everything he touches is a goal, right? And then all of a sudden it's just like disappeared. Finally scored again yesterday. Maybe I'll kickstart him again. But like, do you get the sense that like we might be seeing the same with Sheldrup?
Yeah, I mean, I think it happens to a lot of young players. I think he last year too, like kind of came in a little bit, and then eventually he got like loaned off. But he had come in showing a little bit more than.
Or that was this year preseason.
Yeah, I thought he had a couple. I thought he played
last year. He was on loan at
the whole time. Didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
right.
There was a season before when he came. He played for the B team.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So I'm
You're
all over the place. But anyways, I think it happens to a lot of guys. You've seen it, like you mentioned the other examples, right? Kerem had the same kind of plateau effect. He's got youth on his side. I mean, he can still develop, he can still grow into a better player. But yeah, I think it's just the growing pains of the youth. A youth, a younger player trying to show his worth. And look, these guys are going to have to play because the team is thin in depth wise. So they're just going to have to kind of battle their way through it.
Oscar, what'd you think of it?
Well, and then I can make an analogy like it's almost like a matchup in football, right? I think in this game against Monaco, he had a bad matchup. That right back that for Monaco basically owned him. Like it was a bad matchup for him, even though, and I'm surprised they didn't switch sides and try Karim on the left and shoot. I think he did it at once, but it was because of a corner kick. I don't think they switched him on purpose. It was more like, okay, you're on the left side, stay until the next play. But I think he should have changed them up because he was not getting the best of that right back. He was bodying him off the ball. He was faster than him. So he basically was a bad matchup for him against Monaco. But I am seeing a little bit of a downfall for him, for Andres. And maybe he needs another goal or now something to get him revamped again, because I am seeing the little downfall for him. It's too bad because I thought he was going to be one of the main guys to get us back to the top of the league.
Yeah, after what we saw in the Taça League, I definitely thought he was heading in the right direction. Bill, anything to add there?
No, I agree with these guys are saying. I think, and I kind of expected him to come down a little bit. Like, I mean, the way he started with the Taça League, like you'd be surprised for him at 20 to keep that type of performance for like the whole season. Fair. So I expected a little bit of a drop performance wise, but what was concerning yesterday, he looked like, I think you said it earlier, Mike, like 20-30 minutes in, he looked just gassed. Like he looked like he didn't have the legs. And like, to me, that's concerning given he didn't play much in the first half of the season. He's 20 years old. Like, I feel like when we were 20, we freaking played multiple games a day, and we never
not at this level.
I know it's different, but you're also training. You're also training and recovering at a different level.
Yeah, correct. This is basically, training. And somebody made the comment today. This is the last like month has been basically like his preseason, which makes sense. But again, he didn't play this weekend. I would have expected a much better performance.
Like he had a full week off from playing, and 20-30 minutes into the game, he looked like he just looked tired.
Yeah.
That's what's concerning to me. Like it's just the fitness level looked off for him, not the performance, because I expected him to. I mean, again, Champions League game, knockout. Like sometimes games like that, like the stage is a little bit too big, and you expect young kids to kind of shy away from it a little bit, or performance drops. To me, the concerning part was just he just didn't look like he had the legs to be able to keep up with the pace of the game and even like help. Like he just looked tired getting back. Even when he had the ball, he didn't look like he had that quick burst of energy that we normally see from him. But hopefully it was just a bad performance, a little blip, and he can come back. Because I mean, the dog kid has come in and looked pretty solid. And I mean, he's I know he's typically a left back, but he's looked really well playing that wing, and he's come in and has an impact in both games.
Yeah,
and he'll fade away too at some point.
Hopefully not, because we'll need him. We've got a thin roster right now. Let's talk about another obvious one. Trubin in the Azores. He had maybe 4-5 big saves that kept us in that game. And then we end up stealing the game at the end with Bruma's goal. Yesterday, he has a big save 6 minutes in, kind of point blank range. He saves it with his hip. And then in the 46th minute, he knocks a shot over with his fingertips over the crossbar. Apart from that, I think he's at fault on the first goal. And he's 100% at fault on the third goal. I've seen people go back and forth on the first goal, blah, blah, blah. In my opinion, I think he's at fault on the first goal and definitely at fault on the third goal. Ironically enough, if you go back, and again, I wish I could show the highlights here, but I can't because of UEFA. The first goal and the third goal, the first goal, Otamendi gets bodied by Embolo. Like he's beside him. He's not even between him and the goal. He's like between him and the sideline. And he basically just turns him and allows the. And then the third goal, he gets bodied. He tries to anticipate, basically falls over, and then leads to the breakaway, which, again, that's one mistake in its own. But Trubin has to save that 100 out of 100 times. There's no excuse for that. But wanted to get you guys' opinions on him, his performance. Obviously, that has an impact on the result, right? Because we're up 1-0. It turns into 1-1. And then we are, when they score the third goal, we were already up 3-2, right? 3-2, yeah.
No, we were never up. After the first one, we were never up.
Oh, they went up 3-2?
Yes, they went up 3-2. We tied it.
Oh, they was tied, and then we made it 3-3. Yeah. Right. So obviously, even that first goal creates an impact. The team's struggling. We can see that goal. Right. That obviously has an impact. But curious, and I think we've all shared different opinions on whether you like him, whether you don't, whether he's evolved, whether he hasn't. It's just crazy to me to see the performance he had against Santa Clara, and then he makes 2 big saves in this game, and then he gives up 2 absolute gifts. Is it youth? Is it his age? Right? I mean, in my opinion, I expect some of these mistakes given his age. But I mean, on the big stage, right? Like in games like this, like you need, when the team's struggling, you need your goalie to like come up with a big save. And he did, but like when we needed him most, he fucked up, right? And again, I've been one of his biggest advocates, but in this case, I can't defend him. With that, I'm not saying that he needs to be benched and we need to bring in some young kid. But again, I can applaud him.
That was
and
the case a
compliment him.
year ago. Samu came in a year ago for lesser mistakes.
2 years ago. Was it last year? 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
It was 2 years ago because Vlaco won it back after.
It was against Boa Vista. Yeah, it was 2 years ago when I was in Portugal.
We needed
Bill, I'll
new
start
energy.
with you here.
We needed new energy, so Samu was the answer.
Yeah, he played what, 2 games?
It wasn't Samu that came in for Vlaco. It was somebody else.
Yeah, it
No,
was.
Samu.
It was
Samu.
He played like 2 or 3 games.
No, Samu.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like Vlaco lost it for the whole season. Somebody came in and played for Vlaco.
That was with
Trubin. Oh, you're talking about with JJ.
With JJ.
Oh, it was
That was
Elton Late.
Yeah, Elton.
Late, yes,
Elton
correct.
Late.
Yeah. But with Vlaco, Kenny's right. Samu came in for like 2 or 3 games, and then Trubin. I think Trubin's first game was away to Vizela, if I'm not mistaken. It was his first game.
Yeah.
No, if you're asking me, Mike, I think Trubin is fine. It is a bad game that he had today. To be honest with you, I think the style of the lose scares him a little bit because I see him putting some fucking performances away, especially in this Champions League. In
the team as a whole.
For some reason,
I mean, at home we suck.
Stadio de Luz, I think, scares a lot of these young players because how loud we are and how demanding we are, right, at home. And I think a lot of these young players get a little bit of chicken hair behind their back where they fucking they're like, oh shit, is this real life? Like, am I, if I fuck up, I'm gonna get booed my ass out of here. So it probably is playing games with them. But I think Trubin is fine. He's shown that he can be we can depend on him. I agree. We don't have to, fucking play the Sino right now and get him out of the net because it's not worth it. I think he's fine and he'll recover.
Bill, Kenny?
I mean, I agree with what Oscar said. I 100% those 2 goals are horrible mistakes. Him 100% blame on him. And I think Otamendi takes blame on it as well. But regardless of what Otamendi did and his errors, Trubin has to make those saves. But I'm not at the point. I mean, this is one game, one bad performance. Now, if it's multiple performances like this, and we're seeing multiple games like this a year, then yeah, you got to start looking at other options because goals like that, like you shouldn't concede goals like that. Those are like, I mean, the first one, it's right at him, hits his foot, like he's trying to kick save
Tries
it.
to save it with his feet.
It looks like his foot got caught or something. And but it's still like 100% should make the save. The second one to me is like, or the third one to me is even worse because it's further out and it's right at him, and like, I don't know how it goes.
He goes slow down, wicked. Like
I don't know. Yeah, like I don't know how.
As soon as the guy went on a breakaway and Carreras gets back to cut off his angle and kind of pushes him wide, I'm like, all right, thank God. Now it's a tough angle. Fucking like he rolls it to him and he fucking lets it go underneath him.
Shot.
Like,
yeah, it wasn't even a hard shot.
Me.
Like 100%. I agree.
No,
those two, like he has to make those saves, but I'm not at the point of having the conversation to bench the guy. Like this isn't like seasons of errors like this. This is one bad game. If it becomes a habit, then yeah, like we have to look at other options. But I mean, also given who we have on the bench, I don't know if we're gonna risk it putting Samu in and trusting that.
Guys, who do you guys consider the best goalkeeper in Portugal right now? To me, it's Diogo Costa. Anybody else have any different opinion?
Diogo Costa for me I don't think he's having. I would say this
in Portugal.
In Portugal, I would say right now on current form, probably Ricardo Velho from Fluminense. Diogo Costa for me last year was 100%, but he's had his mistakes this year too.
But even last year, I saw Diogo Costa let some games letting in some B2s that I fucking holy shit. He actually plays for the Seleção.
100%.
Right. So and he's considered our number one in the Seleção, right? And
he's far more experienced.
So let's Trubin had a bad game. If he like Bill said, if he continues 2 or 3 games where like, oh shit, hey, then we fucking have to do something about it.
Kenny was probably the biggest advocate for the no change of energy and the between the goalposts a few years ago.
The reason I got upset about it is because I don't think you had to move away so quickly when you brought in Trubin. You could have had both of them for a season. And now you're again. I agree with Bill. You don't really have a backup. I don't trust Samu, and so you do have to ride Trubin. My thing is, like, and again, I haven't watched as many games as I probably should have, right? So I'm not really paying attention to every player's form. But if you guys are saying this is his first, like, noticeable mistakes, they haven't.
This is his first game of like this magnitude mistakes.
Yeah,
and I think
these are bad.
And I think we're giving it a pass because it didn't cost us the game. Had it cost us the game, it's a completely different story. So
I was about to say that.
So it didn't cost us. It didn't cost us the game, but if we didn't get through, I think we would be probably talking a different.
Correct. The frustration around those mistakes, had we got eliminated from the Champions League, I think would have been significantly more.
Yeah,
I think that's obvious.
But we are also in a tough position because I don't think you have anyone else to turn to.
Correct. Which I guess doesn't surprise me, but boggles my mind that you got people like play Andre Gomes. Like they're not even saying play Samu. They're saying play Andre Gomes, the kid that's on the B team, right? It's
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
Like, how the hell are we gonna skip one guy to go get the other guy to play? Like, I don't know.
And these are Benfica fans who are not helping by doing that, because I don't know about these plays through being doesn't they watch social media or see social media at all, but having no confidence on your goalkeeper is not going to help him be better right now when he has a bad
Correct.
game.
And I don't
I
know
mean,
if you
he's
guys saw against Moreirense, the video that was circulating against Moreirense. It was like 92nd minute. The team was struggling towards the end of the game. He got the ball, 92nd minute, right? Just see out the clock, let the team get up the field. And the fans were booing him because he didn't play it out quick to Bruma. And he kind of made a gesture like to his ear, which I'm assuming based on the gesture, he's, basically like, I can hear you guys, but I'm not going to fucking do what you want. But it's like Oscar's saying, right? Like, understand the moment of the game. It's a 92nd minute, team struggling. Just see out the game. Like, you don't have to score another goal. Just don't concede one, right? And I think, like Oscar said at the beginning of his conversation, that could also play a part, because I feel like we've seen, and I'd have to go back, but thinking out loud, and I don't know if you guys disagree, kind of to Oscar's point, I feel like a lot of these mishaps have come at home rather than on the road.
Yeah, it's
like,
true.
I can't think of a game that he's had like an iffy match like this on the road. There may be, maybe someone in the comments can think of one.
I think a lot of these players have gone through the Schmidt era where every single game was a white Lansus and booing. So they're probably scared for their lives at home. At home might be like they're fucking, holy shit, I can't believe I'm playing at home.
I'm about to get hit with a water bottle.
Yeah.
Which you would hope would be the opposite, right? It should be
Exactly.
the comfort zone, but
You feel
unfortunately
comfortable at home.
Exactly. Which doesn't seem to be the case with the team at the moment.
We have our fans to thank. Thank you, Benfiquistas at home. Even though you guys make some spectacular, light spectacular is awesome. I love seeing that shit.
So we're through to the next round. 3-3 draw. Another frenetic, chaotic. Oh, actually, I wanted to go back. Penalties. First penalty on Auschwitz. Unanimous yes, right call.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Smart by Freddie. Very,
he had his foot in front of it, and the guy just fucking knows
he has no chance of getting that ball. He just puts his foot there because he knows he's going to clear the ball and gets a foul. That's smooth, smart.
100%. It's like the typical the striker where he basically knows the defender is going to run through him, so he just stands in front of him and he fucking runs him over. Yeah,
really smart IQ.
Second penalty. What do you guys take from that? Anyone can go.
I've seen PKs given like that, and in most cases are given, but I understand why it was taken away. I understand because when he kicks the ball, it's actually Da that kicks him, not the other way around. So the guy basically did the same thing that Freddie did in the PK. He puts his foot there, and Da is the one who slices him through, who kicks the ball. So even though it feels like he tripped him, but no, it's almost identical but opposite with Freddie.
And the difference is Diatta hits the ball first,
Correct.
and then Dahl kicks him. Kenny, Bill, do you guys agree that they overturned it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was the right call.
Bill?
I would have been pissed if you needed that goal, though. But
exactly, like it gets overturned in Champions League in Portugal. I don't know if it gets overturned.
Dahl does good on that whole play too.
He does, yeah. He does well. Mark says Auschwitz is playing chess instead of checkers. Everyone else was playing checkers on that second goal, on that penalty that he was able to pull off. Before we read some of the comments, we're through to the next round, and those of you who are tuning in, let us know what you think. Right, great achievement. We're into the next round. We get an extra 11 million. I think I saw today that we've already accrued somewhere around like the 71 million mark in this current Champions League. Which is a significant amount of money, and that doesn't include TV rights money that gets basically distributed after the fact. But we've got all this excitement, and we've got a cash injection, and we're through to the next round. And then you walk up to the door and open the door, and lo and behold, who's on the other side? Take your pick, Barcelona or Liverpool. So in some ways it's a bit of deflation, right? Because it's like, fuck, all right, here we go again.
How's that work? It's a draw, right?
It's a draw, but you basically you get one or the other. Those are the two options on Friday. Kenny, I'll start with you this time. Any preferences here, and why?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think either way, you've got a tough matchup, and you're gonna have to not be scared to play at home. That's for sure, because you're gonna have to pull off some miracles. I think we played. I mean, the most recent thing I can think of is the match against Barcelona and how well we played and how close we came to winning that game had we just composed ourselves. So I don't know. Do you think we could do it again, or was that just like a one in a million, right? So I would say, but Liverpool, I don't know. I guess they're ailing a little bit right now. I don't know. Take your pick. It's one or the other. It's a poison either way.
If you had to pick one, who are you going with?
I'll go with Barca, I guess.
Okay. Bill, who do you want?
Yeah, I'm for me, it's easy. It's Barca. I'll take Barca all day over Liverpool. I think the way Barca plays, I think would kind of suit us a little bit better, but it's not as high paced, high energy as Liverpool. And I think Barca's back line is iffy at best, and they concede goals like crazy. And I think if we have a shot, it's going to be against a team that concedes, right? And we've already played Barca, and we showed we can score against Barca. It's just, I think Oscar said it in one of our group chats. It's not just the 11 on the field; it's the refs also come into play with Barca, as they say, Barcelona. But to me, it's easy. It's a Barca pick.
Oscar, is this unanimous?
Yeah, I agree. Barcelona with a V is probably the team that I would choose, and the reason is Bill explained it really well. But I think when they play pushed up, like their defense is legit, like they defend a half field. So it gives us Pavlidis, who's a great guy to do these counterattacks up front with, and he's shown in the first game. I think we have a good chance of scoring goals. And I'm gonna keep calling him Barcelona. Barcelona has shown this season that they can lose to the smallest teams and beat the biggest teams. So we have a chance. If we have a chance to beat a team to pass forward, I think we have a better chance against Barcelona.
I would agree. I would rather play Barcelona because basically all the points you guys said and Oscar touched on it as well is they're gonna. I feel like it'll be one of those games where like who's going to score the most goals at this point, right? Like we know their offense is super potent. I mean, they've put some crooked numbers up against some teams in La Liga. Valencia played them back to back for the Cup and for the Campeonato. And I think between the two games, they put up like 15 goals on them or something like that, which is brutal.
Nuts.
But, right, like they're one of those teams that, fine, we're going to let you score 4. We're going to score 5, right? So I think we're going to have more opportunities against them than we will against Liverpool, despite the fact that Liverpool is in a phase where they drew again today. They had a tough match against Wolves last time out. They've got Manchester City away this weekend. They've got some tough string of games coming up. But I think as a whole, they're a much better collective unit than Barcelona is, where Barcelona is more from midfield forward, and then defense, it's like whatever, we'll figure it out, and then our offense will take care of it. So I would agree. I would prefer Barcelona. Let's see what the draw gives us on Friday. MVP for this game, who would you pick? I think UEFA gave it to Koksu. Again, because of the winning goal, I would have to assume, because I didn't think he was the MVP. I would have given it to Pavlidis. That's my pick. But Bill, Oscar, who would you pick? I know, Kenny, I don't know if you saw enough of the highlights to pick someone, but Bill, Oscar, who would you go with?
Yeah, I think the MVP absolutely from the game that from Benfica's side, I think Pavlidis is probably the only one in our side that stood out in the positive way. Everybody else was kind of struggling. So Carreras had a good game. I believe had a decent game, but I think Pavlidis, the work ethic he did, he scored a goal, assisted one. You can't pass him. You can't. Nobody than him.
Bill?
Yeah, I agree. Pavlidis for me was the pick. I think, like Mike said, I think Koksu won it because of the winning goal, but I think performance as a whole.
It wasn't a winning goal, but
Well, the goal that saved
the
us
goal
from
that
overtime.
saved. Yeah,
Put
exactly.
us through.
Like,
Can you
put us
guys
through.
imagine if we had gone to 30 minutes of extra time?
yeah,
That
but
team literally, the wheels would have just fallen off the fucking wagon. It would have been
yeah,
a
we would have been
disaster.
fucked.
Holy sh! I was thinking about that today. I'm like, dude, if we didn't go to if we went to overtime, oh my god, what a disaster that would have been. My pick would have been probably these. Kenny, I don't know if you have an opinion based
Probably
on what you
these share.
saw. We move
I
forward.
don't disagree with what Jason just said. His last comment.
yeah. Oh no, I'm talking about
the
our team.
11 kid.
Yeah,
That's
I'm just saying.
it.
I don't disagree with that kid that he dictated the game for them
Number
so
11
much.
was Akliush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
So
Is he
good.
young? Is he from Monaco? What's his
Okay,
young?
I think he's an academy.
I believe he's a Moroccan. Yeah, he's from Morocco. No, he's French. I think he's Moroccan descent, though, if I'm not mistaken. Hold on, let me see this. He's got no transfers. Yeah, I think he's. Hold on. So, then Ben Seguir might be the Moroccan. Hold on, one of them's Moroccan. Yeah, Ben Seguir is Moroccan. Akliush is French. He is 22.
So good.
Contract until 2028. So, yeah, he's a couple years, but I'm assuming he came up through the youth system at Monaco. But between Ben Seguir and him, I mean, I think Monaco's got their big money transfers settled and locked in.
Yeah.
For the next. Ben Seguir is 20, and his contract is up this year.
He's gonna walk for free.
Someone gonna get him on a free? That would be fucking brutal for Monaco if he walks for free.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, Jay, Monaco's number 7 is Ben Seguir, the guy that scored the second goal. He's Moroccan, 20 years old. Contract ends. Oh wait, no. I'm an idiot. His contract ends in 2027. He was born. I was looking at it wrong. So he's got 2 years left. I take that back. Moving forward, we've got Boavista at the weekend, and I think this will create some discussion here. We've got injuries. So Baz out. Barreiro can't play because of yellow cards. Di Maria's hurt. Thiago Vey is hurt. Manu's hurt. Renato Sanchez is always hurt. Tinu is apparently out for like another week or two. So, and with the fact that we've got Braga midweek for the Taça, right? Another big game at home. We have to do some rotation. I mean, the team just looked absolutely shattered this past game. Kenny, I'll start with you. Where do you
three home games in a row? Monaco, Boavista, and Braga. So that's a positive. Even though we hate playing.
Yeah, it depends.
Yeah, even though we suck at home. Fuck.
In theory, it's a positive.
It's a positive, but not.
Yeah. It was funny. Bill sent me a screenshot or sent me a Twitter link of like a meme, and it was like Benfica's. What was it? Benfica's playing at home, or was it Benfica's into the next round or something? But it was basically hinting at like, yes, we're excited, but no, we're not excited.
Oh no, it was Benfica. It was after Sporting tied. It was Benfica.
Oh, depends on themselves.
It's like Benfica depends on themselves, and it's like a GIF, and he's like, and then he starts crying. He's like, "Oh shit, we depend on ourselves."
Yeah. Kenny, what change do you expect? Right, we had 6 changes in the lineup against Santa Clara before this game.
Yeah,
I think
you see the same thing, right? You would think.
The question is who though?
That's the problem,
right? Because from the starting 11 that played against Monaco, you've got the back line can play, the goalie can play, Kokshu can play in the midfield.
Auschness all hurt.
He did have
he was grabbing onto his
I think it was cramps. Yeah. I think it was cramps. Not I don't know.
He just kept.
I think it was
the back of his leg.
I think it was the celebration. No,
that's what somebody said. He got hurt in the celebration.
That's when he came. Well, that's when he
came out, right?
Sitting there, yeah.
Was it? Was the goal in the 87? He came out in the 87. Yeah, so 3 minutes later.
Because he scored. Because I remember the celebration. He scored, and then everyone got off of him. He's just laying on the ground.
Yeah. So the back line that played this weekend can play. Trubin can play. Midfield, you've got Freddie, who I wouldn't risk it given the fact that he's got that knock. and you got Braga coming up. You got Kokshu. Hopefully, there's nothing there. Sheldrup, Pavlidis, and Aktürkoğlu can play. But then off the bench, you've got Amdouni, Bayrami, which I doubt will start. Belotti, Cabral, Dahl maybe gets to start again. Nuno
Bruma.
Felix, Bruma can definitely come back into the team. You got Diogo Priost, João Rego, Leandro Santos. Does he come in at right back and give Tomás Araújo a break? So Kenny, what do you think? Where do you think we see changes here?
Um,
Hold on, Rui. Arthur Cabral como trinco. Rui, vai dormir, que já é
Jesus.
tarde aí desse lado. Já são horas de
A cabeça
estás a dormir.
não está a funcionar bem. Até à tarde.
Seriously. Carry
yeah.
on.
So I think you would probably see the same lineup as Santa Clara, except for who's out again?
Barreiro can't play.
So
Pereira didn't start against Santa Clara, did he? Oh, he
Yeah.
did. With
Oh,
Tino,
no,
yeah,
Tino-
he did. He did
Yeah.
with Tino. Yep.
with Tino.
So against
you're
Santa Clara,
saying-
you had Leandros, Tony, Otamendi, Carrera. So I guess let's just go by sections here. Goalie, we don't anticipate any change. Back line, do you expect any changes in the back line? And if so,
No.
who? No.
I would-
So you think the starting 11 is what started, or the starting back line is what started against Monaco, Kenny?
I would
Or
say
Or
no again.
Santos
What,
Leandro comes in for Tomás Araújo.
That's what I would do.
I would say
Yeah, that's
Santos
what I
comes in.
expect. Yeah.
Yeah,
So you're
I
saying
I expect
Carreras,
this-
Otamendi, Tony, and Leandro Santos.
I agree
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
Bill, you think so too?
Yeah.
I
I mean,
think-
given
Is that what you-
I don't know if you guys noticed, but Araújo has been coming in like
I was just
don't
about
think
to say that.
he hasn't been like stepping in. I think something is there. Like I think he's
he
playing through an
struggled
injury.
yesterday too.
And we don't want to risk anything getting pulled or anything like that. I think it at home. I mean, Boavista hasn't won since November 2nd.
Their last place, and they just got a new coach.
They're in last place. They
new
barely
players.
score any goals. Like
and
this is
we're playing at home. I know it could be a tricky games, but we need to rotate it. This is the game to rotate if there was any game.
Yep.
Yeah,
so-
so-
against the 5th place team
Right.
away.
correct.
So
Yeah.
that's
We
that's
can't
what
do
I'm
it
saying. Yeah.
Yeah, you have
if you
to
don't if you don't
rotate
rotate it now, it doesn't make it like you're
Yeah,
puzzled.
makes
Like,
no
I don't know
sense.
why.
Correct.
I would
Yeah.
say it'd be the same lineup or mostly the same lineup as the Santa Clara game.
Just without Barreiro can't play, so that
So Barreiro
Without
and Tino,
Barreiro,
Barreiro and
put,
Tino.
Barreiro and Tino are out. So who's your midfield, Kenny, in this
So
weekend?
you
In terms
so
of
then
first
who-
teamers for the midfielder, you got Kokshu and Auschnitz fitness wise that aren't suspended, and
Yeah.
then you've got Nuno Felix that can play as a 6. You've got Diogo Priost that can play in the midfield as well.
no, you'd probably have to play Koksu.
What's Rego? Rego's a winger, right?
Winger, yeah.
Winger.
You'd probably play Koksu if he's not really hurt, and then
I think you have to play Koksu.
yeah, you have to
And
because you
then-
got to have something in there, and then yeah, you're kind of stuck. You're
I think-
almost you
yeah.
might be forced to play Auschnitz.
Oscar, do you take that
Do you
chance?
risk? Yeah, that's.
I know Lodge because I've called them a few times in the past and we kind of discussed these things. So I think Art Freddie will start. It'll be Freddie Koksu, and I think he'll have the kid Felix playing in the mid as a third midfielder.
So you're saying Freddie, Kokshu, and Nuno Felix?
Yes.
I think that's probably the likelihood, unless depending on if Auschnitz isn't able to go. I would say that's probably the midfield trio that I would expect. Bill, do you think so?
Yeah, I agree. I think I would want to rest Freddie, but given the circumstances, I'd play him over starting two youngsters in that midfield, right? Because the only other option if you're not playing Freddie is playing Nuno and playing the Priost kid, right? I
Yeah.
think that's the only other. And that to me is very risky. I would expect him to do Freddie, Koksu, and either Felix or the Priost kid.
Yeah.
Well,
One
what
of the
about so with Santa Clara? He played Barreiro, Tino, and Dahl.
Dahl was on the wing.
Yeah,
On the
I'll
wing,
play.
yeah.
Well,
midfield
he had
was
Bruma, and
Amdouni
Amdouni.
was basically the number 10, the tip of the triangle.
Okay, so then I would say that the triangle would be Amdouni, Koksu, and oh yeah,
I'm going with what I think. I think he goes with Nuno Felix, Kokshu, and Amdouni at the top of the triangle, and keeps Auschwitz out of this game.
Well, I would like to, you know what I would like? I'd like the Benfica to come in with a stronger team and resolve the game first half and get these guys out. That's my fucking wish.
Yeah,
Yeah,
correct.
I
But
100%
like,
agree.
then
I'd rather.
go ahead.
I was going to say I would rather resolve
then
the
if you
game
don't-
early than
if you
than
don't resolve the
stress.
game, then you're gonna.
Then you still have the young kids with fresh legs coming in.
Correct.
Like
But I would have.
either way the young kids are playing, and you would hope that you can resolve the game in the
But
first half or early.
back to what Kenny and Oscar said. I think we all agree that we would have liked to do that against Santa Clara, right? Start strong, put the game away at halftime, and then rotate. But we didn't do that, right? We just made the changes straight from the onset. And again, if we did that away to Santa Clara in a tricky game and a tough field, right? I think at this point, I think I'm okay with us taking that risk at home against the last place team that has 14 goals in 22 games, right? And hasn't won in forever. They just got a new coach, Lito Vidigal. I'm sure you guys have heard of him, have seen him. He's been around the league for a long time. He's been out for a little while. Probably, in my opinion, one of the most depressing styles of play, like super anti-jogo, wasting time. Literally, like if there was ever a tactic of like park the bus like they have on FIFA, that's him. Like he literally just sit back, let's defend for our lives, let's waste time, let's get set pieces, and if we can get those. So if we took the chance against Santa Clara, I'm of the opinion, like you guys said, right? I think this game is then it's a no-brainer. Like we have to take, if we took that risk then, we have to be able to take that risk now. So midfield, I think, in my opinion, it's going to be Nuno Felix, Kokshu if he's not injured, and Amdouni at the top of the diamond. Bill, you think Freddie, Kokshu, and who?
And either Felix or the
Yes.
Priost. Yeah, one of the two.
Kenny, who do you think?
I think Freddie, Koksu, and Amdouni.
Okay. Oscar, what was your pick?
I mean, I think Lodge is going to go with Freddie, Koksu, and Ugu as the young kids, the Trinco.
Nuno.
Yeah, that's
Ugu's
right.
John's
I think
brother.
he's going to go through that. Would I do that? No, I think I would actually play. I'm doing. The fuck is the name again?
Amdouni.
What's his first name?
I don't know what to say. Amdouni. I would play Amdouni.
I don't even know his first.
I think
Becky.
Bruma's definitely starting, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Da starts too, but does Bruma start up top because Da starts on the left? Or does Bruma start on the right?
Bruma started on the right against Santa Clara too. Dahl played on the left.
Dahl
No,
played on the
Bruma
left.
started up top with Bellotti.
Yeah, but he was playing as a winger. He may have slotted forward because Amdouni was helping the triangle in the midfield, but he played as a right winger. Dahl played as a left winger.
In that case,
like you said, he played up top in the sense of at times we played with a back three basically against Santa Clara.
Yeah, that's how Google has it. They have the back three.
And I actually don't mind that. I think Amdouni has to start.
Yep.
He deserves a start. Bruma's definitely going to start. Dad needs to start as well. He's been showing stuff. And then the goal scorer, I don't know if he'll play Pavlidis or save him for Braga. I would play Pavlidis to get the game over with. And I think there's a lot of power going forward right there. And play Koksu and in that case probably Koksu, and it has to be Freddie because you don't want to leave Koksu in the fucking island by himself. So
then on the wings we agree that it's most likely Bruma on one side, Dahl on the other side.
I agree.
Yeah.
There's comments here for Prestiani. Do you think there's any chance?
Cristiano hasn't even
He hasn't even played.
He didn't even play for the
He doesn't
big
even
team.
come in as a sub.
No.
I wonder if he's got a knock again. There's people.
Something going on there.
Milton says rest Alvaro. Do we do that? Move Dahl in the back and then someone else plays in that wing? I think that wouldn't be a bad idea either.
To me, the back line is what you try not to mess with.
Correct.
And if you're already changing Leandro for Tomas, right? That's one change in the back, and then if you're going to change, like you're changing half your back line at that point, I don't know. I would keep Alvaro on the field and play Dahl out wide.
And
I
it's
mean,
one of those games where I think you're not going to have to defend as much.
Yeah, like
Right.
I think we're overthinking this because I think Lodge gave you the recipe of what he's thinking in these off matches. If he's like
Yep.
Mike said, if he's doing this against a fifth place Santa
Santa
Clara
Clara.
team on a
Yep.
on a tough conditions, why would you it all worked out, right? Could it have not worked out? And
Yep.
but it worked out. Why would he change that recipe in a home match against the last place team? They barely score any goals.
Yep.
Like I think he's gonna just kind of roll out the same or around the same starting 11. I think Belotti's in there, Bruma. Outside of a forced change because of an injury or whatnot, I think he starts with the same guys.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's definitely some question marks, again, based on fitness, but I think
Yeah.
we may see something similar to what we saw against Santa Clara. To close out, I just want to run through some of these comments. I've starred a couple. Let me see what we got here. SLBS says the squad is thin. Who's our backup center back? And without Tino, who's our backup mids? Who's our backup center back? I mean, we've got Tomaz at right back, so he's one of our backups. Bayrami is obviously the
The other one.
backup. He's played a few minutes here and there, but I think from a center back position, I think we've got enough coverage there.
Very young.
Yeah, we've got youth there, but we've got guys. Mark says, are we going to be upset if Lodge puts Dahl in the starting lineup? I've enjoyed watching him, but I'm concerned he will get hurt. I feel like everyone's an injury concern at this point.
Yeah.
But again, I think we just touched on the fact that I think it's very likely that we do see Dahl. I'd be more surprised if Dahl isn't in the starting 11 this weekend. Rui says no more injuries. Hold on, let me just go to the top so I don't lose my train of thought here. We got a lot of stuff here. Let me see here. Where do I want to start? SLBS says we're regretting getting rid of the Vidneres. Could really use him now. Anyone want to share a quick thought on that while I look through these?
If we had kept the Vidneres, there would have been a World War III in Benfica by now. So who would you have sit to play the Vidneres all these games?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy to look back on it, right? With Di Maria injured.
Yeah, right now,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
but until now, they've been playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, that's yeah.
And
You can't predict the injuries.
No.
And we saw that first year,
Correct.
like having him play on that left side, you don't get as much out
Correct,
of
because
him.
he likes to
as you
come
do if
inside on
he's
his left foot.
Right.
It-
And
it-
you're
it
not like
does-
he's not going to play on the right because that's Di Maria's spot, right? Like now that he's injured, okay, yeah, you look back at it and you're upset about it, but at the time, like,
Yep.
I don't even know. He went to Atlanta, right?
Napoli.
Yeah,
Not-
Napoli. And
How's
he doesn't really start there.
Yeah, so like
He's-
I like Neres because he changed the pace a lot. He was a difference maker when it comes to
Yep.
that, right? But he wasn't a consistent player. Like we talk, like I don't know. I think for me, and I used to be a believer. Like, man, if these guys give a lot, like Pizzi's and Rafa's and João Mari's and all that, like I'll ride them until they retire, right? But let's be honest, we have to give young guys a chance to come in and prove themselves. We did that to João Neves. That's the only reason we did it to João Neves is because somebody got hurt, and we moved on past that person, and João Neves basically blew up. We have to do that to the Andres of this world, the Artur Kuglus of this world, the João Regus and Hugo Felix of this world, or else nobody wants to stay at Benfica.
Rui writes in code here. So we've got to see if I can decode this.
Da Vinci resolve.
Rubin, Dahl, Senor Antonio, Otamendi, and Leandro in the back. Koksu, Auschness, Aktur, Bruma, Schups, I'm assuming is Sheldrup, and Pavlidis. So he doesn't move. Rui's opinion here is he doesn't change. He doesn't rotate much. I mean, the only rotation is Dahl for Carreras and Leandro for Tomás Araújo, which I
And
think
Bruma.
and Bruma comes in for. What does he come in for? I guess one of the midfielders.
Who's Shoops again?
Sheldrup.
Sheldrup.
Oh,
Shoops. So stupid. Let's see what else we got here. Mikey says, would you try Aktur Koglu or whoever you spell it at the front of the triangle, have Felix and Kokshu be more holding and deep and keep Dahl and Sheldrup wide? I have an opinion on that, but what do you guys think? So basically Aktur Koglu is a 10.
Well, he's not doing anything else anyway.
No. Yeah, I don't know if I would try it.
I don't like it because his recent form, like the amount of times he gives the ball away, right? Like in him playing in that spot, you need to be a guy that can pick those passes and split lines and play a vertical pass. And his form recently just hasn't shown that he's capable of doing that. I wouldn't take that chance. Kenny, what do you think?
I don't know. I think he's better in space. Like if he's confined in the middle, yeah, he's gonna lose more balls.
His characteristics don't line up to like a 10, right? Like he's pacey, he likes the ball in behind. Like he's not someone that's gonna find that last pass, right? We haven't seen it. And like Mike said, he's been giving balls away like crazy out wide and through the middle where space is even less. It's going to be even worse.
Jay says, Trubin, Leandro, Otamendi, Tony, Carreras, Nuno Felix, Kokshu, or Freddy, whoever's healthy, Amdouni, Dal, Bruma, Pavlidis. So similar to mine, except he mentions Freddy or whoever's healthy. So the midfield's the same. The back line is the same. Wingers are the same. The only difference is that he's got Pavlidis. Again, I think we've said it before, right? You ride the hot hand, right? Pavlidis has been scoring. Shouldn't take him out. I'm going off the fact that he took him out against Santa Clara. So I wouldn't be surprised if he took him out again this weekend against Boavista and gave Belotti another chance.
You know, it's tough. It's shit luck that Bruma can't play in Champions League because he'd slot right in with all.
Yeah, because he would have played for 2 games, but right now we would have been past those 2 games.
Yeah,
correct. Yeah, if we had taken that chance, he would have been able to play in the next round.
The problem is, like, who are you taking off the list?
Well, it took only 2 days for Manu to get hurt after the thing was done.
Yeah, but it was too late.
We already had submitted
the list already in.
Like, you got screwed. Let's see what else we got here. Melton says, I like to see more of João Rego. I think we'll see him this weekend. Did you guys see the Oscar's comment, his dive?
Oh my God.
Dude, there was a picture.
I missed it live and I saw the picture this morning and I was like, wait, what the fuck?
I'm like, you know those in FIFA when somebody dives like it's so fake? That's what it looked like. I'm like, what the fuck just happened?
He like held up so the defender
no, he dove. He like completely dove up.
But he stopped on purpose, knowing he was just gonna come in from behind.
Look at that.
It was
that one.
Like look, it's a plane.
So bad.
Did the guy? I looked away. Did the guy not even touch him?
If it touched him, it legit was the smallest touch, and the guy dove like he was fucking getting killed.
Oh my God! I just saw him rolling around. Then I saw Oscar's text. I'm like, what the hell happened? And then after the game, I saw the picture on X, and I was like, what the hell, dude? Legit, he looks like he's pretending to be an airplane. Pedro says Tomás Araújo could also play defensive mid. He can, but I think, like Oscar said, if there's a guy that needs rest, he's probably one of them.
Yeah.
You keep moving around this kid, we're just gonna ruin a center back. Like,
yeah, he played right back. And if he's played defensive mid,
well, I think the move from center back to holding mid is less of a trickier one than going out wide.
Correct.
Right wing,
more central
That's
still.
That used to do for us last time at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, he's no Pep.
He's more central. Right, you're not having to go up and down the line. I think it's closer to what he's used to. Milton says, "What's Binya up to now? Maybe we can sign him for our 6th position." Fucking hell! I wonder if he must be retired by now. Jay says Neds is in Italy. Weed's probably legal in Italy. I mean, there's a lot of shit that he can get in Italy, especially in Naples.
Yeah. Not just weeds.
Weeds the least of his worries in Naples.
He went to the wrong country for that stuff.
Seriously. He's got better stuff there.
Could have gone to Amsterdam.
Yeah. Rui says Shup Cedes, Bruma, and Actur Letrais. Interesting. You guys like Sheldrup at 10?
Sheldrup at 10. That one looks a little more interesting than.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Just because he's got better feet. I could see that, but even that, I don't know if I'm sold on.
Hey, by the way, Rob from our friend Rob in Portugal is asking if we're gonna say something about Pinto Costa.
Oh God, I was trying to refrain from that, but if he's watching, I have a very concrete opinion on it, but I don't know if you guys share the same opinion. I guess we'll use that to close out, even though I didn't want to touch on the topic, but I guess we'll close out the podcast with that since Rob's asking, and we got to give the people what they want. Kenny, I'll start. No, I'm going to start with Oscar since you're the messenger.
Well, Rob and I have been
Benfica did or did not the right thing of not saying anything?
No, I listen. I could see Rui Costa coming out and saying, condolences to Pinto Costa and his family, whatnot, right? I don't see Benfica as a club after what the history between, especially Pinto Costa and Benfica, after all the shit talking that he did about Benfica, accusations he did about Benfica and all that. I totally understand why we did not make a comunicado about it. I could see people doing it. I think Pinto Costa did one about Eusebio, and Eusebio's always been a Benfica symbol, and Pinto Costa did it about Eusebio. I just, I can say I'm mad that Benfica did not put a comunicado about this. As a person, I say condolences to Pinto Costa, his family, and rest easy. What you've done to me is bad. I fucking hated you for my whole life. So rest in peace, my friend.
Kenny,
who are we talking about? Who? I don't even know the guy. Who is this that we're talking about?
Well, he probably knows all the prostitutes and all the.
I could give a flying shit about Pinto da Costa. I really don't like that. That guy, I think, ruined Portuguese soccer for a long time. Yeah, he gave the North, all the titles and the prestige up there, but not without the corruption that is what our league is, and it all has to do with him. So, yeah, I think it that's just I don't think Benfica had. As an organization, I guess do you have an obligation? I don't think you have an obligation.
No,
is it the right thing to do? Probably the right thing to do to, put something out there. But I mean,
I don't think it's I think it's because of the person, not because it's like a Porto. Like we've done it for Porto Legends, we've done it supporting. Like right. I think it's the person, like what he did in Portugal, the countless number of times, like he talk shit about Benfica and all that. Like I think it had to do with the person, and I have no problem with Benfica as the club coming out and say anything. No problem with Ricosta not coming out and say anything. I have no issue whatsoever with it.
Yeah, I've debated this a lot in the last 4 days in a couple of different groups on WhatsApp. And I debated on writing an article about it because it generated a lot of traction and there was a lot being said. But because we have a lot of members of our group that go to away games and live in and around Porto, I didn't want to expose any of them because of an article that I wrote, given the sensitivity of the subject. So this is me speaking on my behalf, not on behalf of anyone in the group. I don't see Benfica to come out and offer Let me back up. I would never wish death on anyone unless they immediately impacted someone negatively in my family or close to me that led to something catastrophic like that. Did I dislike Pinto da Costa for everything that he represented? Absolutely. Is it easier to be on his side than it is on the other side? Absolutely, right? I mean, we all grew up with Porto fans who it was like nothing ever happened. Even though the evidence was there was recordings, there was this, that, and the other thing. It was like it never happened. And over the years, right, we've had situations with him where, in the 80s, we had our team go to the Ep200. There was like gas put in the locker rooms that our team had to change in the hallways. There was, hot water. There was no hot water. We've had so many instances at the Ep200.
Didn't allow a president to sit in the cabina.
We've had, he made comments when he was sick that he walked by the morgue at the hospital and he saw a bit of Benfica there and he felt better right away and left the hospital. He didn't stay there. Things like o nosso inimigo está a 400 quilômetros de nós. right? So he always referred to Benfica as the enemy. He always had jokes, sarcasm in a negative light towards the club. And I don't think it would make sense, given all of that hostility, all of the history, and not to mention, I mean, let's talk about the most recent case, the emails. He was the president when he hired or worked with the hacker Rui, whatever the hell his last name is, Rui Pinto, who worked with them to get the emails, to hack our system, got access to the emails, and then manipulated the emails and then made them public. And I mean, karma did its job. And on the day that he has his funeral, the Supreme Court basically in Portugal, after they went back and fought it, comes out and says, hey, by the way, you still got to pay almost $1 million back to Benfica. Plus, there's an additional almost $1 million that they have to pay because of the whole process. So there's just an incredible amount of situations that we can go back and look at between both clubs. Now, Benfica, to come out, in my opinion, is coming out to speak on behalf of its fans, its members. Benfica is a club of the members, a members club. It's not owned by an individual person. Rui Costa coming out and given the okay for the club to come out and make a comunicado, in my opinion, is speaking on behalf of the fans, which I think would have caused a shitstorm because of the history that is there, right? We also have to remember that Pinto da Costa wasn't the sitting president of Porto at the moment. So he's not a sitting president of a current club in Portugal. Yes, he's got a lot of history. Yes, he won a lot of titles. If Rui Costa wants to offer the condolences to his family in a message, in a phone call, whatever, we don't know if that happened. It could have happened. I don't know. But on behalf of the club, I think it would have been an absolute terrible thing to do. Not only that, but let's call a spade here. After everything that happened, if Benfica comes out and says, you know, we're lamentamos a morte, blah, 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 do you think these guys wouldn't have fucking shit on us for that? I mean, let's be serious. These are the fans that hung blow-up dolls off a bridge in Porto with a Benfica shirt when we went up there to play them. These are the guys that had tarjas at their fucking stadium saying "Id sofrer como cães" when we go there. So to come out and fucking play victim, like, oh my God, you guys didn't say sorry for your death. I mean, give me a fucking break. Is it the right thing to do when someone passes away? 100%. Given the situation and the context of it all, 100% I agree with Benfica not coming out. And more so, Sporting, on top of it, I mean, their president in the last 2 years has basically shit on Pinto da Costa publicly in every press conference he's been able to, calling him bandido será sempre bandido, shit like that. So, I mean, he would have looked even worse if he came out and said something. So I have no objection to what Benfica did. I think the silence maybe spoke even more than if they had said something. I think them not saying something represented most of the fans, if not all. And back to what Bill said, when Fernando Gomes passed away, Porto legend, national team legend, Benfica had a moment of silence at the stadium. So it's not like it's a club thing, right? Pinto da Costa did the same thing for Eusebio, but let's not compare Eusebio's reference and involvement with the country,
right?
Pinto da Costa's reference and what he represented to the, like, people trying to compare the two things. I mean, I can't wrap my head around how you could even imagine to compare those two things, because they're not, you can't compare them. Eusebio didn't say things like, oh, nosso inimigo, right? They just represented two different things. So to sum it all up, I have no objection to what Benfica did. I'm not surprised that there was all this hoopla created around it. Then Vilas Boas came out and was like, we hope to see that they'll say something before his funeral tomorrow, blah, 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 or else, you know. But what I think is going to happen is this: if they already hated us, this galvanized them even more. So us going to the Estádio do Dragão later this year is going to be a fucking shit show. And I think we can count on that because of this, because they're going to basically wear this as a badge of honor now. Like, you guys,
yeah, it's their Super Bowl.
Out.
Yeah, it's
100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
What Rui Pereira just said, I was blown away.
Os jogadores desportivos fizeram todas as homenagens por todos os clubes. And that was another thing, right? Which, again, they're being investigated for all the transfers that they've had with Porto over the years, which is like 60, upwards of 60, right? they loan a player, they sell him, they buy him back, they loan him again, they send him to China, bring him back for half the price, they loan him, they sell him, right? Portimonense wears jerseys in their game with Pinto da Costa's name on it. Their
Just
own
like
club.
they did for Eusebio, they do it for Pinto Costa, which is crazy.
And he's not even their president. He had no involvement in their club. And then their own club, Porto, didn't do that, which is wild to me. But nor here.
That's actually a good point. That's a good point.
Right? Like you would think if there was someone that was going to do that, it would
club
be
themselves.
their club.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Instead, Portimonense did it.
Their satellite
satellite
club did it for them.
Yeah. Pedro Vieira says Pinto da Costa was Don Corleone for a generation. Pimenta Machado, ex-Boa Vista president, on and off. The two of those together were quite the duo back in the day. Eusebio didn't buy prostitutes and trip to Brazil for the referees. Yeah. Again, we can get into the stories. I am of the opinion that I'm not an objection of what they did, and I thought they did the right thing. People will think otherwise, but
so our friend Rob, hopefully those way extra 10 minutes unnecessarily fulfills your
I didn't
scratched your itch there. Rob.
Hey Rob, let me say one more thing. Short of it.
I didn't want to touch on it, but since Rob asked, I figured we could. Pinto da Costa took the SUD money and bought Portimonense, and left Porto with $8,000 in the bank account. All right, we got Boa Vista coming up this weekend. We've got Braga next week in the Taça. I don't know if the game's Tuesday or Wednesday, but two more home games. Big game against Braga because if we get through in the next phase, we've got two lower division teams, Elvas, and I can't remember who the other team is in the Taça Portugal, over 2 legs. So I think it puts us in a good spot. Rob sending us a heart. Rob, heart to you. Hopefully,
bro.
Go to sleep. It's late there. Thank you to everyone who is tuning in as always. If you're listening back after the fact, don't forget to follow, like, share, subscribe on all the various platforms. And if you leave us your comments after the fact, we check them all, respond to them also. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Gentlemen, thank you as always for being a part of this. It was a good conversation. Have a good evening. Viva Sport Lisboa Benfica. Good night.
Hi guys.